Hello and welcome to the SmackDown review. I'm Michael Sidgwick, joined by fellow Dudley boy Michael Hamflett to discuss everything that went down on Friday's show. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure to subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and YouTube, where we preview and review SmackDown Raw, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0, Dynamite, Collision, pay-per-views, premium live events. We interview wrestlers. We have roundtable discussions on occasion, and we round up the week, maybe not this week, but a lot of weeks, with, of course, a bloody good quiz on wrestle culture. He doesn't like doing the intro, but he is going to host it, so you asked me what I thought of the show.
I would do, Sidge, but I don't think SmackDown is about words, is it? It's about actions. Absolutely not, and I couldn't do that with a straight face. What the hell was this?
I don't know, you like it, mate. Why don't you justify it to me? Because I watched this and just thought, house is hot.
Well, I don't. This is not. I mean, it sounded hot. I don't know how those people were doing it. I don't know how those people sat there were so hot. Because this was bad. This was really bad. I have had gentle disagreements with Wilborn of the quality of SmackDown.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's
little boys' club's going to break up, is it?
It's jealousy is an ugly trait, and you said. And I get it because you've had to endure Collision while we've just been every week, seat your pants stuff. Cinema, go to theatre.
Pants is involved, but I'm going to say seat off.
SmackDown has not always been great, but it has absolutely had its moments. This didn't really have them, save for once again.
Had some cool
Cody
angles,
Rhodes, as a leader, should basically saving this episode from I know it was taped. There was so little to grab onto. There was so little to like.
Inexplicable. You know when? I use a very tortured analogy. A couple of years ago, maybe at this point, when I was trying to explain my apathy towards the early Paul Levesque era. I would argue now that he's done a great job of rediscovering WWE's identity. Gone are the Harley Race references. Gone are the 23-minute matches for the sake of it. Gone is Drew McIntyre saying the word wrestling every other word. Can't do accents, evidently. Back then, I was nonplussed by the praise the show was getting. Do you know the camera is staying fixed in one position for 5 seconds instead of 2?
Yeah.
This is great. And I just couldn't get over the low bar to which it was being compared, and I made the point that, there's so much money in this promotion. They could be great. There's no Vince, apparently. I know he came back, but at the time, there was no Vince. It's like, you can just, do a good show that is moderately better. And I used a tortured analogy saying, if there's a Fed fan in a coma, I know, it's serious. If you found a Fed fan in a coma,
I know.
And you woke them up, you're like, guess what? It's back. The power. It's back.
If the BT Sports bus crashes into us.
Do more on this after the analogy. So Fed fan in a coma, wake up. The power is back. And then they'd go, huh? No, it isn't.
Yeah.
I was like, thank you, Fed fan in a coma. Because it would appear that they've made gradual, tiny improvements now that Vince is gone. Vince is gone? I couldn't tell. They've been nice to Harley Race, but other than that, I'm none the wiser. And they've stopped saying, they're allowed to say belt and wrestling, but other than that, I'd have no earthly idea. So we moved on. Levesque's done a great job. Undisputedly so. Indisputably, whatever. Now is the time where, oh God, he's back in the coma. Fed fan in a coma. And then you'd say, all right, okay, this is the hottest WWE's been in 24 years.
Yeah.
Watch this. They'd go, what?
Yeah. This, Triple H every now and then will. And
because I think the Fed fan in a coma would say, I've just been in a life-threatening incident, but now that I've watched SmackDown, heaven knows I'm miserable now.
Tony Khan has done too many of those big man matches in AEW, so meat is murder.
Big man strikes again with the Roman nose, and everything is great.
Speaking of which, we start with the SmackDown GM, can't remember his name, but he's with the Bloodline, and of course Solo Sikoa stood there with his hand in glove. And Tonga Loa is selling the eye injury. He couldn't properly acknowledge Solo Sikoa last week because Kevin Owens rated the eye so hard that he's got an eye injury. He's got an eye patch.
With Tonga Loa, they thought, right, okay, we've got the Gorillas of Destiny. And it's like, could not just half a person instead and just have Tama Tonga go one solo, and then I will just get Jacob Fatu. Yeah, I could have done a better job with that joke. Half a person was preferable to the Gorillas of Destiny. You're laughing at?
You're a very funny guy. So Solo Sikoa. Anyway, they were going to be taking out the match as a result of the injury, but no, Solo Sikoa wasn't going to have that, and he requests that Jacob Fatu replace Tonga Loa, and that's permitted. And
frankly, Mr. Alders, this position.
I'm going to enjoy this podcast. We go to, we open with, so that's going to be in the main event of the Gauntlet. Well, not even the main event, the Gauntlet later on. But we start proper with LA Knight versus Santos Escobar. LA Knight has kind of cut a walk-in promo en route to the ring. He says he's going to beat Logan Paul in Cleveland, in his own hometown. He's excited to do all that. And he's going to get a tune-up against Santos Escobar. And what we get here is kind of a very basic, slow it down for LA Knight, but get the heat spots. LA Knight's still over, and you could really tell because the noise didn't need to be hair-dried in for this one.
But for the entrance, it didn't need to be.
Well, yeah, where elsewhere on the show, it was just constant. Santos Escobar kind of like grinds LA Knight down. It's all chin locks. It's not very particularly captivating stuff, which was just the theme of the night, realistically.
This is so tedious.
We get Knight with a running knee late on in the match. And to get a torture rack, but Elektra Lopez is able to run distraction. That breaks that. Logan Paul,
What was the name of the town or city this was in?
This was in, I can't remember. Don't have it in my notes. I can find it. Do you want a rude name or is that why?
No, I just thought it was eerily quiet. It might as well have been held by the Cemetery Gate.
Thank you very much. Logan Paul runs down to interfere. It's unsuccessful. LA Knight manages to duck a clothesline and hit one of his own. I think Logan Paul was going for the illegal forearm thing, but he moves out of the way. At this point, Escobar thinks he's going to be able to take advantage by hitting the Phantom Driver, but again, LA Knight is able to counter out of that and hit the BFT for the win. So he's kind of, the idea is obviously here he's managed to dodge both the interference and get the win. Proper WWE babyface against all the odds type thing. But then the numbers game catches up on him after the match. Escobar hits LA Knight from behind, allowing Logan Paul to unleash yet another one of his things that he's obviously just practiced a gazillion times in his home gym, because the frog splash is absolutely gorgeous. It's a D-Lo-pilled frog splash, like hands between the legs. A Mike Tyson crotch chop between the splayed legs. Like just another way for LA Knight to win, I guess. Just to sort of make his point as we move into next week's go-home between the two. Any thoughts on the match and the post-match?
No. In fact, I have so few thoughts that I'll take you through my journey. Saturday morning, I wake up. I've told you about my internal alarm clock several times, where because for the past however many years, 7, been at work at WhatCulture longer, but we've been doing the reviews for nigh on 7 years at this point. So it's like I've got, at the time as well, it was like Raw, SmackDown, and then NXT Dynamite was like 3 on the bounce, more or less, of like early mornings. And my body's just basically, on a weekend, it's 5 o'clock, rise and shine.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't have to. It's like, well, go back to sleep. No, okay, I can't. The weight of the world just goes on my shoulders. So I get up at 5 on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Like, right, okay. Go back to sleep, and I think I get another half an hour, and then basically I'm up at 6. It's like, right, I'll watch SmackDown then. To get it out the way. It's a taped show. It's not my favourite show of the week. Do it now, otherwise that's your Saturday night or your Sunday night potentially ruined by this. Just get it over with. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, oh, God. Get the phone, slide it across the living room floor, so I don't have the temptation of just going on Twitter and then looking up and going, oh, I've got to watch this match again. And I'm thinking, right, make some mental notes about LA Knight versus Santos Escobar. Oh, God, this is impossible. How do people do this?
Yeah.
Like LA Knight's not good. He's a boring wrestler who has boring wrestling matches.
I think he's had a better year. This was boring. I don't think he's just had exclusively boring matches. I think I think at this point he's worked quite hard to shake off that tag. But I still can't work out what his actual ceiling is. I think we're probably going to see it at
Gentleman's
SummerSlam.
3.
We're going to see it at SummerSlam because I think the task here is have a better match with Logan Paul than Ricochet did, realistically.
Yeah.
And I think he can. But this wasn't it. This was evidence that maybe he can't. I don't know.
This is
quite
just
liked LA Knight this year. I thought the AJ Styles matches were sort of an over-delivery.
what huge unqualified praise.
I know.
A sort of over delivery against AJ Styles, who it turns out has had a pretty great year.
But it's like Jey Uso having a good match, isn't it? It's like, well, that was a treat. That was like the icing on the cake, really. The cake
that should be the norm.
presentation. The match is the icing on the cake.
Yeah, no, this is just like, I watched this, and again, like, I get it. I get the appeal of LA Knight. I have in this office done, yeah. I have in stadiums done, yeah.
Yeah.
We've watched like some of those early Eli Drake NWA, not early, he's about 38 when he got the cup, but you know what I mean? Early Corgan NWA, Eli Drake promos. How does they want to?
Dummy.
Yeah.
Dummy. Yeah.
Dummy,
We were
yeah.
OGs in his NXT run.
Yeah.
He was great. He's a blast on NXT.
Eli Drake come LA Knight has been office over for longer than he's been main roster over.
Yeah.
And yet every time then the bell rang.
Yeah.
This just did. I couldn't. This is so tedious, so quiet, such a nothing match. LA Knight, more like. LA Knight, huh?
That's not bad. It's not bad. This is a very Hamflett. Did something just happen there? Segment next, because Naomi's been asked about. So they show the clip of Blair Davenport attacking Naomi. This has happened a couple of times now. Blair Davenport trying to make a mark on SmackDown, I guess. And Naomi's been interviewed, and she's not really sure what it is that she's done to Blair Davenport to kind of trigger all this. But then Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair kind of come into a shot, and they're just like, shut your mouth. How can you say you go about things the wrong way? And they want to talk about getting their tag title shot. Thanks. And Naomi's fine with it, but it was her time, and they've just kind of bulldozed. And I think that this is a very, very, very slow Triple H Naomi heel turn. And this is
Paul Levesque.
I know. This is another
Taking
one
a
in weeks.
sweet time with something.
That's how people fall in love with these characters. That's how you get there.
Big no strikes again.
Anyway, Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair say they're ready for the tag title situation to get cleaned up, and they basically call the champions out for later on. There's a brief moment where Logan Paul gloats over what he's done to LA Knight and says, better be ready for SummerSlam. But then we get to the ring where Jade Cargill, this was such a weird segment. Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair
terrible.
do what they say they were going to do, which is go immediately to the ring and repeat the point about how we're years of paper champions, Isla Dawn and Alba Fire, and let's prove it. Come on, let's go right now.
Let's have a bare knuckle fight then.
Let's have a bare knuckle fight. And just accusing the champions of ducking them, which is fair because they go everywhere and don't fight them. So that's true. The music hits, which is funny that like nobody in the building reacts because they wouldn't notice the champions' music because you never see the champions wrestle. So you wouldn't notice their entrance music. But Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill go to the ropes to sort of beckon them towards the ring, and then they try to get the jump. Do Isla Dawn and Alba Fire on Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, which lasts all of 2 seconds before they regain the advantage immediately. Jade Cargill is like off into the corner selling, while Bianca Belair does a KOD on Isla Dawn, who sort of wriggles out but like takes a bump to the floor anyway. And then Jade Cargill in this time has managed to completely recover from the attack. And this was pretty cool. Do a press slam on Alba Fire and just tosses her out the ring, lands on Isla Dawn. The champions look pathetic. Yeah, like that. Just a piece of piss for the baby faces here ahead of presumably the title match or the Unholy Union running back to Raw and NXT, where they've also been conducting a bit of business. You've got their thing on NXT on the Great American Bash this week. And I think they've got something cooking with Sonya Deville's stable as well. So they might be, is this why they're trying to avoid the champions? Because they would just get their asses handed to them if they did fight them.
I don't know. This is just such a bad segment that made the champions look so weak. And, you know, people think that Paul Levesque is great auteur, is great purveyor of cinema.
Well, yeah.
You know, but if you ask me, then, you know, this wasn't good booking. I didn't realise that you book cinema. Didn't realise you book such bloody awful cinema, Mr. Helmsley.
Local sports guy Terence Crawford, who of course handed Cody Rhodes the chair last week, was back on the show. It's not even what you're thinking of. This was just where he's backstage with the Street Profits.
Yeah,
there's more to come later because
it's all ass.
LTST in it. We go to another backstage bit of the arena where Tiffany Stratton's cradling her briefcase that she's had to take back up after Bayley destroyed it last week. And Nia Jax says she's going to get her a brand new one that she'll love. Obviously, this is the tease of the Stratton customized briefcase, which we're all extremely excited about. And she says, I don't mind getting that for you because I know you'd never cash in on me, would you? Of course not. And obviously Nia lays out the fact that she intends to win that title at SummerSlam against Bayley. They got a tag match later on, but speaking of tag matches, it's Gauntlet time, Sidge. As excited as I am. We start with Legado.
Honestly, man, 38 minutes of my life I'll never get back,
This, I would
38 minutes. It's unforgivable.
Right. This, I can say one nice thing about this match, and that is every mini match in this gauntlet had one spot, and often it was just one spot that made you go, oh, that's quite cool. But each one was wrapped in like a 5-minute match around that one spot, and it was like nothing else had been thought about. I'll sort of give this sort of example of Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews versus Legado and Fantasma.
The Street Profits did this thing where it was like, I expect you to dive on that one.
Yeah, right.
That was good.
Each one
Jacob
of them.
Fatu was good. The rest of it was so boring.
So like you've got this budding relationship with Corbin and Crews, and to do that, like Corbin's able to break up the wing clipper and get the end of days, and the crowd are kind of into it, and it's like these guys that have got nothing going on, but they've sort of formed a bond somehow. Like what damage can they really do as a tag team?
None, minimal.
Well, but then they try and prove it almost immediately because out come the Street Profits. They'd be heavy favourites against a Corbin and Apollo Crews. And then there's that spot where Apollo Crews throws Baron Corbin at them. And he's like, well, that's pretty amazing. Baron Corbin is huge and he's getting thrown through the air. That only shows that Crews is strong and Corbin's willing to take these chances. And I like Corbin when he does I can turn on the wrestling a bit. You won't see this coming. I like it when
he's more disciplined than most.
Yeah, he is. That's right, yeah. But realistically, that is kind of, they're doing moves, but people aren't really coming up for it because this tag division's not been really taken care of. The grass is greener where you water it, as CM Punk said, and it has not been watered in this division of late. So the Street Profits don't feel over. Corbin and Crews are not established yet. So they're trying stuff there, and Enziguris and like power bombs and all that sort of stuff, but just none of it's really over in the building. Eventually, you have everything break down between the two sides, and you get the revelation on Crews, I think it was, for the Street Profits to get the win. Now they've got the ring.
Crews almost took like a really horrific bump on his head.
Yeah, he did. He came down quite steep on it. They get the win. Pretty Deadly are out next. There is a really boring heat sequence on.
Yes, boy.
But
they're bad.
This wasn't good. I've enjoyed. Pretty Deadly went off television for ages, but the original Pretty Deadly run was unique in that they'd got called up and they were winning every week with a different way of cheating. And it was like we'd made comparisons to the likes of the Beverly Brothers in character, if not in physicality, right? And as cheating heels.
Sheer sociopathic.
Yeah.
Brutal glee.
Jobbers that look like Harry Kane.
Like really reckless. Like incredibly reckless.
Yeah, they're Pretty Deadly, don't have a shakeout spike in them, and maybe that's for the best. But
yes, we don't want to see it again.
Like, remember
the first time in retrospect, maybe.
It was just
never again.
A carbon copy of the NXT run. Keep cheating to win. You're like, it's really quite creative how they've done that. You kind of have to give them the sort of the creative team the pat on the back for finding like old-fashioned cheating heels things, throw the belts out the ring, all that sort of stuff. This was not really that. This was a boring heat sequence where they just worked over Montez Ford for a bit and did nothing in particular until the Street Profits made a comeback, again, to almost no reaction. So you're supposed to be working...
they've killed that act.
Yeah, when you...
WWE have done damage to that act.
Yeah, like when you're supposed to be working a babyface over, it's the idea that you want to see the bit... It's every tag team match ever, a hot tag, but this tag just wasn't hot. So yeah, Dawkins does get the tag so they can clean house anyway. But the finish is pretty great. Like they got the advantage on Elton Prince, and Dawkins had Prince on his shoulders for the Doomsday blockbuster. Blockbuster after his shoulders, is a pretty cool finish. So that's Elton Prince done and Pretty Deadly beaten.
Gone.
20-minute mark at this point in the OC land, and you're like,
Jesus Christ.
Just watched 20 minutes of wrestling for the OC to hit chin locks, and that's exactly what they did. You had Luke Gallows taking a lot of the match on Montez Ford. Dawkins gets back in, but he gets caught by a Carl Anderson spinebuster. So it's like, is this the end of the Street Profits? No, it's not, because Ford just manages...
I watched this and I was asleep.
Like, Ford gets a tag. Gallows goes for a big boot. Ford manages to evade it and get like a friggin' roll up, and you've just watched pretty much a 10-minute mini match. It's unacceptably lame and lazy.
Anderson almost took a spill on the outside as well.
Yeah, who could care? The Bloodline were last to enter, and obviously the Street Profits are selling that they're knackered. But again, this is the problem, right? If we sound like we're being flippant about the quality of this match, some of the work was fine, but fans didn't care for any of it.
38 minutes of fine and botchy.
And you couldn't buy
botchy.
You couldn't buy the endurance, could you? Because it just didn't feel like...
No, there's never a struggle here.
Been enough. This was the Seth Rollins lengthy match. It's like, yeah, but what's he been doing? I should be remembering what's happened in this last 90 minutes.
I've said this point before. I'm going to say it again. I'm astonished that an Engagement Farmer account on X hasn't got anything out of Ron Seth Rollins worked 2 hours on Raw.
Because they didn't
how great it was. They can't even watch it to clip it.
Yeah.
It's just, it's wild in retrospect.
That's true, like a Shawn and Brett WrestleMania 12 one where it's like,
yeah.
because the connection's tight, it's like, is that pretty good? No.
It's just wild how no one even does that for Engagement Foreman these days. At the time, you couldn't dare express an opinion online if you just thought, oh, wasn't that good? And that was an instant sacred cow was birthed that night.
How dare you come from Monday Night Rollins himself?
Yes.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was drab. You know who isn't drab? Jacob Fatu. Thank God for
him. My God, thank God for him.
I quite like Tama Tonga as well. And he was like, the Bloodline were last.
It's funny about Tangaloa.
Predictable that they were going to win, yeah, but they've taken out the weak link of the team in fiction and in kayfabe, basically. And as a result, Bloodline were pretty cool.
The one that IWGP tags about 8 times or whatever it was. But he does. He's not very good.
Tama Tonga is the one that establishes the advantage, beats down Angelo Dawkins. He's having a load of fun with it, but you know what they're doing here? They're hiding Jacob Fatu. Second he gets in the ring, he hits this like awesome running, 100-mile-an-hour running splash, just screams a load. It's brilliant. Tama Tonga's having a great old laugh with this. Dawkins is able to basically escape the Bloodline. That's all it is at this point. He knows that he's in trouble, so he just gets away, makes a tag to Montez Ford, who is like knackered as well, but he's trying to keep the pace because that's the only way he can survive the Bloodline ultimately, is trying to like hit and move. So it gets like just like step up in Seguri on Tama Tonga. But then basically Tama Tonga is immediately able to regain advantage on Ford, who is also knackered. Ford goes for the big dive over the post that he does. It's like Hail Mary stuff for the Street Profits at this point, which is further putting over that the Bloodline can't be soft. Corey Graves.
They're inevitable.
Yeah, Corey Graves has been great on commentary.
Like Shayna Baszler. Right?
You sort of hear him saying it, can't you? Yeah. Phone's a hack, I'm a Swillborn. But then there's this great spot where Jacob Fatu gets a DDT, and this is better than your typical Samoans and the bloody hardheads or Tongans and the bloody hardheads. This is just, he's raging. Like, how dare you DDT me? And he just explodes on them as a result. He does that, like we used to love it when you had it with 3-minute warning. The way, like pop-up Samoan drop.
Oh, yeah.
Just a total kill shot, but then just because he's got it in his locker anyway, it's the triple jump, best moonsault ever for the win. Like, a pretty awesome little display by Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu here. If only Tongaloa was fit.
I mean, Jesus Christ, this is that's pretty convenient, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is, for me, like, this very cynical, unfiltered version of me would say that this is Levesque's booking in a nutshell. Does some drab, overlong stuff that just takes ages to do out. Then something goated happens at the end. And it's like, you know what? That was goated. He can't keep getting away with this.
He's not got a division. He's got one incredibly over team and a set of champions.
Yes.
And this match laid that bare. These people have not been pushed.
Yeah.
You could feel it.
Right, you could hear it. You could hear it. I know I bang on about it. You know, stop me if you think you've heard this one before, but Paul Levesque's booking is pretty dry.
It's good. A-Town Down Under out. They're not happy with Terence Crawford's involvement last week. He was the one that handed Cody Rhodes the chair. That led to all of that. A nice bit of A to B for the local celebrity who legitimately did get a great reaction in the building. But they want an apology, and they do the bit where like Grayson Waller's like, I want an apology, otherwise Austin Theory is going to knock you out. And obviously they're doing this tease split, and Austin Theory's being more reasonable of the two with A-Town Down Under late. So he steps forward as if to be like, well, I don't know about that, but then Terence Crawford doesn't take any chances and absolutely sparks him, which is like quite a cute bit. The crowd legitimately goes insane for this. Like Triple H does this weird thing where like the celebrities are the throwback of somebody special's here. Let's crush a jobber. But typically it goes over huge in the building. It's a good version of a bad thing he's doing with these because the fans have a great night with it, but somebody has to be sacrificed. But luckily, it's only Austin Theory who really cares.
It's only the guy they're trying to build as a babyface yet again, it would seem.
Total loser.
He's just not going to get over.
No, I don't really care if this babyface run flops, to be honest, because I just don't think it's the role for him either.
No?
Wasn't
this like nice enough? This A-Town Down Under thing, why they're in such a rush to break them up. So I thought, you know what, it was a bit of a, you know what, ruffle Levesque's hair. You found a place, a spot for someone who was never going to get over in the role that you imagined.
Mm-hmm. I totally. This is my biggest criticism of the Triple H thing. I thought he got it out of the system when he stopped trying to split Imperium. When he just, I'll just take one of them away. Please let us break them up, please. Yeah. And I thought he got that, but here we are again. No, he's never settled on these kind of acts that I think he doesn't know sometimes that he's onto something. And that's why he just thinks, well, we've got to be racing at the split, right, guys?
Yeah.
Because in his mind...
Well, he doesn't race for anything, him.
Yeah.
When was the last time he was in a race? But it wasn't in his matches.
I think it's, in his mind, it's motivational. Because remember how, by early 99, it was like, right, guys, I've got too good snap for this DX thing. Time to split us all up. And by the end of 99, he hadn't got over as a heel, so he needed to...
Yeah.
Come back and win my goons, please. So I think in his mind, he's like, hey, Theory Waller, we're going to split you up. But who's going to step up?
Who's going to step up? Who's got the snap?
Who's got the good snap?
Who's got good snap? One of your nuts.
One of your nuts hanging out. Any Smith song about bollocks? Anything on nuts hanging out from Morrissey?
I don't think so.
Yeah. We go to somebody that's, speaking of Morrissey, I would say he's got English blood, Irish heart. Cody Rhodes, a spirited videotaped promo.
I did like this a lot.
He was in Japan on tour, but it's because he's the champion of the world and a champion of his word, and he promised to be absolutely everywhere, defend this title. Everything that the prior champion wasn't, despite the respect that he had for Roman Reigns. He said he won. Roman Reigns was the greatest fight of his life at WrestleMania. He finished his story around his fans, his family, and all of his friends. It cuts to the ring where you see all of his allies lift him up in the ring. And more importantly than all of that, the bloodline was no more, or so he thought. Now there is a new version. No rules, nothing to lose. Great line here. Chaos reigns without a true lion to lead the pack. As obviously you see clips of the bloodline wreaking havoc on SmackDown. It focuses on Solo Sikoa. He says, Solo's a leader that doesn't care about anything that's come before. He then says all of his friends and allies have now been taken out. He is going into SummerSlam on his own, deck stacked, but also as the champion. He owes it to the people that he defends this title for to defend it and not let it slip back into the hands of the bloodline. He says Solo Sikoa once wasn't ready, but now he's not so sure. Rhodes needs to look into Solo's eyes to see what kind of man he really is. So he wants him next week, face to face, one-on-one, on his own. Cody knows that he's ready, but is Solo Sikoa.
I thought this is apart from Jacob Fatu's in-ring brilliance and just how explosive he is, this was it's a low bar, but this is the highlight of the show. I thought it was tremendous of Cody I think about Cody's always had that rep is this, can he really take anything he says seriously? I love him. He's great. But there are times when he'll go back on his word. And, I love to lie and Cody Rhodes taught me and all the rest of it. And you just never know if what he says now will hold any water in a year's time or whatever.
Yeah.
What I loved about this is that he didn't... I think he's protecting his rep a little bit in terms of his chosen verbiage. How he didn't just oversell the threat. And the temptation must have been there for him to oversell the threat of Solo Sikoa. With him, I'm headlining this dude against SummerSlam.
The main event of SummerSlam.
The main event of SummerSlam against this guy. Or maybe I'll have to...
Has he heard the whispers about the Punk Drew build? And Solo's... What's Solo's ceiling? And the big question being asked of him. There's a shoot thing going on here, isn't there?
Yeah.
It's like, what have you got as our world champion?
Yeah. So I thought that was a really good, honest tack to take here. I just liked not being insulted. I know that's a low bar, but I'm happy to, appraise it on that basis because, for God's sake, everyone's asking the same thing. Your world champion, your babyface world champion should be thinking the same thing as you. So I did appreciate quite a lot how he was like, I'm not sure you're the guy.
Yeah.
You got your opportunity to prove it at SummerSlam against the champ. And I think that's the luxury of having someone as unbelievably over as Cody Rhodes.
I think, and I sense that this is a consensus from locked in WWE fans with this one. I am as hyped for how this plays out as I am concerned that Solo can't do it. And I think this is one of those weird cases where both can be true.
Oh, yeah.
The plotting and the story has been good. The bloodline, it's gotten over. But this is the first time we're going to, like, Solo has to fly here. And Cody's got to help that.
Yeah.
And we'll see. That's the...
I'm fascinated
There's
by
a drama
it.
to that as much as there is to the development. And
I'm fascinated by it.
Something I'm absolutely not fascinated by is the rematch between Andrade and Carrillo Hayes. I liked the match last week, but it was like, you left. And Andrade is moving on to want bigger, better things. He wants the United States title, and Carrillo Hayes says he wants one more match to prove that he can do it. He's just like LeBron James, and Andrade says he's more like Bronny Jr., who I think is also a basketball star in the making or something. And Hayes is like, well, I'll take that, and we'll have a rematch next week. So it's all go in the United States title picture, Sidge.
A rematch to determine once and for all who the least deserving
First
competitor in the Money in the Bank ladder match was. Who was the one who did the least? It's a wooden spoon feud.
And like,
a wooden spoon feud.
Particularly if, as we think might happen, LA Knight finally wins the US title, gets his moment. So he's not going to be losing to his first challenger, is he?
Yeah.
So you're setting yourself up to be the first guy to lose to LA Knight as well. So that, and fans know that and they understand that. And this feels like a mellow spot. So that means he has to beat Andrade and then win a 50-50 program to get a shot. It's where we're headed. I'm just, that's the likely plotting of all this. But
Jeez, I was so bored watching this program.
Not very exciting. We're going to get so many comments this week. We're like, just miss Will Bond's enthusiasm. It's like, I won't lie about being enthusiastic for quite a bad episode of the show.
It's just so dull.
And speaking of dull, this started promisingly. Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton versus Bayley.
This is the main event?
Yes, with the promo to go. It moved along at a clip, this one, with it being taped. I'll say that.
I don't know. I watched Carl Anderson work a 10-minute match, a quarter of a match, and it went 10 minutes. I'm not entirely convinced it went in a clip.
I had high hopes for this one because I thought this was an earnest attempt of Triple H. Again, in contrast to the Gauntlet match, an attempt to continue to try and book the women's division in a way that he hasn't done previously. You've got a Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton story that existed basically as soon as Nia Jax won Queen of the Ring.
Yeah.
Before she's even won the belt against Bayley, they've established this thing with Tiffany Stratton, who's now going to, there's always going to be the tease now. But in the meantime, she's not my favourite wrestler or anything, but I think there has been an earnest attempt to get Michin over. She's been wrestling across all the shows. She's a baby face, which is the role she realistically should be in. And they did the, one for the older heads, SummerSlam 90 Power and Glory deal here, where Michin barely gets a look in before she's decked. She's cleaned out by Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton, who look like a unit, who look like they are locked in and dialed in.
Chemistry as well.
Yeah, and ahead of like the big match with Bayley at SummerSlam, they just destroy her, throw her into the steps ordeal. Bayley, by the time she's able to come out and make the save, she comes out swinging a kendo stick to try and chase the heels off, but Michin's like in serious pain. So a lot of this match plays out with the heels cutting the ring in half and then Bayley looking over at the corner and Michin desperately trying to like shake the, but she's selling her arm, but Bayley looks over to the corner, which is still empty for a while because Michin's selling on the floor. She does eventually get back into the match, but this time Bayley's absorbed all sorts of punishments. It just had a bit of character than just being a straight up tag match that we previewed and had less than nothing to say about it, basically. Bayley eventually, after they've sort of worked her in the corner for a bit, gets like a desperation stunner and goes over at the corner where Michin is still selling, but she wants to tag in anyway. She wants to be the gutsy babyface and do her part for this match. So she tags in. She tries to tag in, but then Nia Jax is back around at the side to pull her down again. I like that stuff. I like that kind of old-fashioned brain busters type thing. So you've got, we go to a break. You've got Bayley once again back in trouble. Tiffany Stratton hits the handspring elbow in the corner. They do go to like headlocky stuff for a while. After this, Nia Jax has got...
Jesus, I'm so bored. I'm sorry.
A couple of power moves, but again, she's wearing down Bayley. Bayley tries to fight back, but it's tagging off into Tiffany Stratton, who once again goes to the handspring, but Bayley's got it scouted this time, so she manages to catch her and hit her with sort of like...
Happens in every single pro wrestling match, isn't it?
In like a kind of...
Isn't it?
A German suplex type thing. What? The going for the move again?
Yeah, I see it every time. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Literally just reviewed Collision and Pac and Leo Rush it.
Yeah.
It's just the story of every match.
And yet, those fans that were sitting there sitting on the hands were going wild. So what's that about? Ask questions.
I'm just asking questions.
So this time, Michin, again, still selling, is able to tag in. She hits a flapjack on Tiffany Stratton. This is pretty good. Like, Nia Jax has gone to the floor again to try and like deal with Bayley, who's rolled out the floor, and just Michin immediately takes her out with a dive. So then there's Bayley back in. She hits a running knee on Nia Jax. She gets the top rope elbow drop. That's only able to get 2 because Tiffany Stratton is there again to make the save.
You're very good at these recaps.
They've continued. Oh, thank you very much. They've continued to make the point that like Stratton and Nia Jax are a good team, and Bayley and Michin are just having to sort of cobble it together and make it worse.
Make it work. Freudian slip.
It's going so well. It feels like the baby
hard worse. I never heard of that.
Might finally get control of the match. Hell yes, and tough enough. But the briefcase shot from the apron by Tiffany Stratton to Bayley cleans her out, and it like obviously because it's in that corner of the ring. Nia Jax gets her in the corner, hits her with the Annihilator. It's a kick-ass finisher. It's how she won the Queen of the Ring, and she gets the pinfall victory over Bayley. Sidge, I'm going to lay down the hard questions here. If she can do this on SmackDown in a tag match, can she do it at SummerSlam?
That's the idea.
Oh. Well, what do you think? And what do you think about this match?
I don't think much of it, to be honest. It was just a generic TV main event. I mean, it wasn't bad. It wasn't good.
Do you not think this was...
I'll never remember it in a million years. And when I watched it, I'm thinking, this doesn't move me at all.
As a contrast to the very thing we criticised about the Andrade, Carmelo, doing that again, is this not them trying to establish Michin as a fighting challenger? Babyface should Nia Jax...
I heard it the first time.
Get the win. Get the win. Like, when Nia Jax beats Bayley, there's a challenger, right?
Yeah. This is how we do it. Not bad.
Not bad. Main event time. It's a segment, not a match, so it's more interesting. Anyway, Solo Sikoa is there, obviously, in that setting they've got with the Bloodline. Looks pretty cool. Better than when Guerrillas of Destiny were in the ring.
Derek Clubhouse.
Derek Clubhouse. They've all got their own different ones this time. Tongaloa's got the eye patch. They've got a bit of visual identity.
It's a lair.
Yeah, it is a lair, yeah. The claw from Inspector Gadget. Yeah, on his big chair.
Bloodline's lair.
I'll get you next time, Cody. He says he's fine to meet Cody Rhodes in the ring.
There's the Photoshop sorted.
It's Inspector Solo. With his Alan
Inspector Solo.
And instead of the Alan Partridge driving glove, it's a claw. It does a one. It's got a little claw hand on it. I do like all the little ones they've got. They've got their own ones now. It's visually distinct from the original Bloodline, and I like that because come Survivor Series, you're going to put side-by-sides together. I want to come. So yeah, but big words from Solo here, right? Significant, earnestly significant.
Big words from a little man.
So he says, obviously, next week, the Bloodline are going to get the tag titles, presumably confirming that that's going to take place on SmackDown ahead of SummerSlam, because then he's going to go into SummerSlam and complete the set, become the world champion, and the Bloodline are just going to be in control. This was interesting. He says he's going to bring the WWE title back to the Bloodline. So we will meet Cody face-to-face, one-on-one. Something tells me he might have the Bloodline laying in wait for a sneak attack. But kind of out of nowhere, Roman Reigns, of all people, catches a stray. He's like, if Roman Reigns has got a problem with that, he knows where to find him. Or he can end up like Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, and Cody Rhodes and acknowledge him. So this has pivoted quite sharply from, Roman's not around now, to, if you are around, no problem. Want a bare knuckle fight? Because I've got a claw now. So,
a bare knuckle fight.
It was a bit of a gasp of a name drop, this one.
It was, and I can't tell if it's the right idea. Was this not a bit Tony Khan-pilled? A bit signposting?
A bit. I was like, oh my God, he's dared to name check that he's going to be at SummerSlam, but there was a bit of fun in the mystery of him being at SummerSlam, wasn't there?
Yeah.
And now he's got to be there, right? Do you think that was it? Do you think?
Has he been?
Do you think that?
Has he been? It's on Christmas.
It's
shut up, man.
Christmas 3 times
every day. It's Christmas 3 times a week when you like the Fed.
52 Christmases a year. You're pressing the cinema button. It's the red. It's the yellow one. What are you going for there? What we got?
Time to sing my gig.
Oh my God.
That one. Press the wrong button. Yeah,
Fritz again. See, it's not just when Wilborn's being horny.
Yeah. Pervert on me. I did want to leave a bit more mystery in the air, but do you think this is WWE acknowledging that their cinema, cook and go to cinema, is too intricate and the fans just need guiding towards SummerSlam to know that Roman's coming back? Like,
are you saying they're trying to hold the hands?
Well, yeah, I'm taking the piss halfway, but I think this was an outright declaration that Roman's going to be there.
I mean,
And it wasn't quite as clear before that, was it?
No. It would, like,
Do you like this?
no.
No.
What does that mean? The signpost at it,
Yeah.
which is a bit much. And Solo's just not it.
Yeah.
It's just not.
That's SummerSlam's a huge night.
We said it on the preview one more time. Cody Rhodes is an ambitious guy. Is it way too much to say that him being able to carry Solo to a worthy main event on SummerSlam show is a bigger risk than All In?
Telling you, man, I wish
He'll be loving the opportunity. If I know anything about Cody Rhodes,
Yeah.
he'll be loving the opportunity to. If he has a blow away, dramatic, really proper match with Solo Sikoa, he's like, right, I'm the best.
I wish he'd done a shoot WWE list version of his Indie Darlings list, where it was like, get a hot crowd in Corpus Christi, Texas.
Where's Texas?
Texas. Get a slug like Solo Sikoa over
Jesus Christ.
in a SummerSlam match. Just like a list of things that as the WWE champion, either he has to do because it's the rules, or go for that John Cena couldn't have done. Like, I'd love to know what his smart goals for being WWE champion. I'd love to see that from Cody, because I think you're right. I think
He's an ambitious guy,
and
he
why
saved
not?
Wrestling by being this ambitious.
And look how so much of his ambition has paid off. over
biggest
the
test
last 20 years.
yet. And Solo Sikoa's not it, but we'll see if he can be made to look a bit more like it.
Do you think Solo Sikoa is it? I doubt it, but you can argue with us in the comments all the same. That's on YouTube. You can get us all at whatculture.com or WhatCultureWB on Twitter, where they can find you, Michael Sidgwick, at
Sidgwick.
You can find me at Michael Hamflett. Thank you very much. Where you can find our brilliant producer, Adam Nicholas, at It's Adam Nicholas. Follow us all at WhatCulture, and until next time, we will see you soon.